Good morning and welcome to the third day of our very pre-PDAC mining showcase. I'm Taylor Combaluzier, a mining analyst at Red Cloud Securities. Our first presenters are Robin Dunbar, President and CEO, and Dave Peck, the Vice President of Exploration and Business Development at Grid Metals Corp. Grid is focused on exploring and developing its assets in Manitoba and Ontario. It has a diverse portfolio of base metal and lithium properties. Robin and Dave, you'll have 15 minutes or so for the presentation, and then we'll have a Q&A session afterwards. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, Taylor, and good morning, everybody. Very pleased to be able to present the Grid story to a very large audience. I was told by Taylor, record attendance, so congratulations to Red Cloud. There will be some forward-looking statements. Our disclaimer is shown here. So what's Grid all about? Well, we're actually perfectly poised to take advantage of the big tailwind building on the battery metals and the electrification of the transport sector, as well as ESG focused investment. So we're in two very safe jurisdictions in Manitoba and Ontario. We've got a nickel portfolio, which we believe rivals anybody in our peer group. And we'll get to that in this presentation. And we've added a lithium portfolio as well. And we'll talk about that in a series of slides coming up here. So where are we at right now? We've got a base case pick and strain resource on our Manitoba Mayville project, located in southeast Manitoba, not too far from where I live in Winnipeg, and about 30 some odd million tons in that. Lots of upside on that, and we're starting to look at that upside right now. We just finished a drill program there on the nickel side of things, and we just started drilling on our lithium property, which is uniquely situated directly adjacent to one of the two pit constrained resources on the nickel copper PGM side of things at Mayville. So very unique portfolio that we have. And I think you'll see the huge upside for Grid as we start to resume activities in Manitoba after a somewhat unintentional but required pause in the action for a few years. Our team is led by Robin Dunbar, my colleague, President, CEO, and Director, and myself. And we just pleased to announce that Carrie Galaschuk, a true lithium exploration expert, has joined the team as VP on the lithium side of things. We're still a small market cap company, but as I said, we're just gearing up here to really move the stock and get re-rated on the basis of really solid assets and well-timed exploration and development results coming out in the next year. So you can see the stats there for yourself. Where our projects, well, we're not going to show all of them here. We don't have time to go through everything we have. But our key flagship project is Mayville, southeast Manitoba, about an hour and a half from Winnipeg, road accessible, in an active mining camp where there's a current producing lithium mine, Tanco, the only one actually operating in Canada at the moment. And that's owned by Sinomine. And we're well positioned around that operation. And then the Mayville project is the nickel copper PGM side of things. And then the Donner Lake project is the lithium property there, directly adjacent to Mayville. We also have assets near Timmins, Bannockburn nickel property. There's been some encouraging results, drill results released by us a couple of weeks ago on that project. And it's sort of lookalike to Canada Nickel's Crawford project. It also has Cambalda type high-grade massive sulfide. And East Bull Lake, where we've taken a bit of a pause after 2 years of fairly intensive drilling. It was originally sort of focused on palladium, disseminated palladium mineralization, but we now see huge potential for Sudbury-like structurally controlled massive sulfides. We did hit some in that 2-year effort, so there'll be more news coming out on East Bull Lake. But this presentation will focus on Mayville and the Donner Lake lithium property. There's lots of news about the rise of the electric vehicle market and the penetration and huge demand coming for lithium and nickel. So that's been probably well covered by previous presenters. Just to say, I think we're timed well. You can see the real ascent of lithium prices lately, and as well as nickel, and copper is also holding its own. So really good point in the market for us to be ramping up our activities. So here's the Mayville project location map. The inset here in Southeast Manitoba, fantastic location. Manitoba is terrific for ESG. We've got a great relationship with the local First Nation, a long-term agreement with them, and we have access to some of the cheapest power in the world, hydroelectric power. Almost all of Manitoba's power is from the hydro projects up in the north. So here's the Bird River Greenstone Belt. This is the host of our Mayville properties. The Mayville project itself, the copper nickel PG, is up on the north side of the Bird River Belt, and the Makwa nickel project, a past producing both underground and open pit mine that was operated by Falconbridge, is down here in the south. And there's the Tanko mine I referred to being operated by Sinomine. It's been in operation for over 50, or for approximately 50 years, and they've just added a spodumene circuit. So this is a fantastic location, and I'd say that our assets here are really unrivaled in the junior sector, having a very attractive lithium spodumene project and 2 nickel copper PGM projects, all in the same area and adjacent to this spodumene producer. There's some spodumene con being shipped out of the Tanko mine. That picture was just taken a couple of days ago by Kerry Galichuk. So we're in a good position, fantastic infrastructure, and let's just take a bit of time to go into the details of these projects. So on the copper nickel PG side, there's 2 pit constrained resources. There was a actual PFS study done in 2008 by Micon on the Makwa, which is the nickel rich part of that pit constrained resources. And then Mayville up in the north is the larger, lower grade, but copper rich, and excellent metallurgy on both projects. We can make a really strong nickel con, as well as a very high grade copper con with good recoveries, including cobalt, which is quite attractive as well in terms of where we're positioned in the battery metals market. So this is what we are building our story on. This was published in 2014. It took us a while to, recover in terms of the markets for nickel and copper, but the prices are right now, and we're getting a lot of interest, and we're really ramping up activities at Mayville. The 2014 PEA outlined a 40 million ton pit constrained project, so 2 sources of feed going to a central concentrator, and the run rate was around 3 million tons a year. What are we doing now? We're revisiting the pit shells that were created and looking at underground options on higher grade, or sitting around those pit shells, below the pit shells. And we're also looking at where can we add high grade resources and bulk up this project. And we've just completed a 13-hole program at Makwa, and the results from that work will be released over the coming weeks. And we're pretty excited about the potential to really improve the resource base for this project. And we've got a really short timeline, I think, to get to permitting. So the next step is to update the PEA and then move into feasibility. And then at the same time, concurrently with the project team that we're assembling, do all the advanced engineering and the baseline environmental work. And of course, always keeping a good communication with our First Nation partner at Seguin. So Makwa is basically a pit constrained resource. The old pit was very shallow and only took a few 100,000 tons out. Most of the deposit was left in the ground. So that's an existing pit, and we're sitting underneath. So we're looking at the pit shell, looking from south to north. These green plates are EM targets that were generated in 2018, and we've just drilled all of them. So we've got new holes in all of them. You can see they sit directly adjacent to the known pit constrained resources. And each one of these has the potential to add significant high grade tonnage to the current resources. So stay tuned on the results for that. Just a quick map showing the pit constrained resources at Makwa and also the Dumbarton deposit. We don't have time to go into that. It was the underground component of that old Falcon Bridge mining operation in the 70s. And they only mined down about 150 meters depth and really didn't explore much below that. So we've gone back and we're looking to expand that resource with the idea of reopening, recommissioning that underground mine and actually doing a low cost, higher grade nickel mining operation there. Mac was open at depth. This is another angle looking at the pit and looking at these drill hole intersections here, historic holes. So there's lots of data coming out. I don't expect to get through it all right now, but just stay tuned for more updates as we move forward with our program. At Mayville, we've got the two projects, the copper nickel PGM deposit called M2, which is pit constrained here. I'll just mention that we also have a high grade PGE discovery just to the southeast of that Mayville M2 deposit. And that includes historic intercepts with 9 meters of 9.5 grams palladium platinum, mostly palladium, in a no-seam style of mineralization, which we've gone back and looked at. And we believe merits a lot more drilling. So there could be some additional tons coming from that. There's other EM targets at Mayville, just like we have at Makwa. And those will be looked at in the coming months to also see if we can expand the high grade part of this resource. Now, quickly moving on to the lithium side of the story at Mayville. It's called the Donner Lake property. It's the Donner Lake pegmatite swarm. It was known from the 40s actually and drilled in the 50s. There were two main spodumene-bearing pegmatite dikes that were drilled by Viola McMillan's company at the time. And a historical resource was put together from those two dikes. Very shallow resource, right up to surface of about 4 million tons, just under at about 1.3% lithium oxide. So that's not a compliant resource, but we can certainly move that to compliant. What our goal is here is to get to 10 million tons. There's multiple pegmatites at the Donner Lake property. So just zooming in on the Mayville project area, the Donner Lake property on the south here, there's a very prospective geological contact that hosts these pegmatites, and it's open for about 8 kilometers. So the known pegmatites occupy only a couple of kilometers of that strike length. The rest of that trend is wide open, and there's also lots of potential to find more dikes in the area that we're currently drilling. So we'll zoom in on the area that we're actively drilling. We've got 6 holes completed so far, mainly on this dike here called the Northwest Dike. Here's some of those historical intersections, 14.3 feet starting at 373. So shallow intercepts, 1.23% lithium oxide, 26 feet of 1.5% lithium oxide. So we expect to get similar or better than that in our current drill program. Let's hope that's what we'll see. But again, stay tuned. Results will be starting to flow soon. And then the main dike drilling results here. This is the main dike. It's about 1 kilometer long. It's still open to the southwest. You can see it's a little narrower, but the grade is excellent. So this will make a really nice spodumene SC6 con, which is highly valuable at the moment. And we're looking at things that sort of are on the order of $300 to $400 in situ value, in the ground value. So really a high grade mineralization. And so it's definitely worth the effort. So we're going to move these in lockstep, the base metal component at Mayville and the lithium component. And just some market caps on the lithium side. We can do the same thing on the nickel side. We're really undervalued. So we need to get the benchmark resources together and show that potential. I think some exciting exploration results are coming in the next few weeks. That's going to help backstop a re-rating of grid, which it definitely warrants. And there's a lot of other projects I didn't have time to talk about. Some of those we're looking at monetizing, others we'll look at partnering with various funding partners. We did a great deal with lithium royalties on our lithium assets. And that's really going to backstop the exploration investment at Donner Lake over the next couple of years. So we're really happy to be working with LRC. But here's the market comps, and you can see sort of the target that we have a higher grade than that on the bottom, Snow Lake Lithium, 9.1 million tons, US 100 million market cap, and we're at 15. So we got a long way to go, but we're not that far off of getting that re-rating. So stay tuned. And just summing up here on the business plan side of things, we want to identify additional areas, both at Makwa and Mayville, for resource addition drilling. We can move into that fairly soon, probably later this year. We want to really put Mayville, the project, the integrated project, on the map as unique in the nickel lithium sort of battery metal space in the junior sector. We've got two key assets, lithium and nickel, in the same belt, in a belt we control, and with the only producing spodumene mine in Canada. So we're in a really fantastic position. This story is going to get more and more exciting. Stay with us, come and invest with us, come and talk to us. Open for questions, and thank you for your time.
Great, thank you very much, Dave, for that great presentation. I'll just remind viewers that you can submit your questions using the Q&A button on the platform. With that said, we do have a couple here. So first up, just wondering on that the historical resource at Donner Lake that you're working on revamping there. Kind of how much drilling, I guess, do you think you'll need to do to get that up to a compliant level, and kind of what's the timeline to do that?
Yeah, about 10,000 meters would repeat that resource, probably at indicated category. Timeline depends on weather conditions on the ground. It's a little bit of a low-lying area, so we have to be cognizant of freeze-up conditions or wait till things dry out in the summer. So we'll probably take a bit of a break at the end of March. We'll probably get around 5,000 to 7,000 meters done in this current program. It'll get us partway there towards that new resource, but not all the way. So we expect to go back, hopefully in the summer, and finish that off. So, potentially later in the fall, we could see that initial maiden compliant resource. And hopefully we can do better than the 3.5 million tons that's was reported.
Right, okay. I have a question here, just wondering about your earlier stage Campus Creek, if there's what the plans are for that asset.
So we're still looking at an exploration program beginning this summer. We may do some drilling really as part of the early exploration of that new discovery. It's another LCT type pegmatite system, just located not far from Thunder Bay, but close to the town of Dryden on Trans-Canada. And we've got a basic plan in place, about $1 million program, including stripping and more sampling, more mapping, more, sort of grassroots exploration, but also potentially drilling on the initial discovery, which is called the High Stone Dike. And that had samples of up to 4% lithium oxide. So it has a spodumene rich part. So there'll be more announcements on our plan for that in the coming weeks.
Okay, great. We have a question here just on the Bannockburn asset, wondering if there's any assays still outstanding.
Yeah, there's 3 more holes to report, and those will be coming out as soon as we get the QA/QC done, which is in progress. So potentially in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see those final results.
Okay. And then on the same asset at Bannockburn, are there any kind of metallurgical test programs planned out?
Yeah, we're just in the process of signing a contract with SGS, and they're going to do quantitative mineralogy, which is really the first step in that overall met testing program. And for those of you familiar with Canada Nickel story, we're also looking at sort of secondary style nickel sulfide. The main mineral is hazelwoodite. It's very nickel rich. It's a secondary sulfide formed in serpentinites. And we're going to do a quantitative mineralogy to determine how much of the nickel we're seeing in our assays is recoverable and in the form of which nickel sulfide mineral. Hopefully it's hazelwoodite because it makes a fantastic con, 30%.
Perfect. So with that, we are out of time. So thank you very much, Dave, as well as Robin, for presenting today, and everybody for joining us.
Thank you, Taylor. Have a good day, everyone.